Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. I have a new pen today that I wanted to share with you guys, and I was able to get this because of everyone who's been using my Atlas affiliate code, which is Danielle10. So I just wanted to say a quick shout out to all of you who use my code. It is greatly appreciated and it helps me provide more things that I can review and look at on this channel, so thanks. This is the Hinze Pen Company's B24 Mercurial Mermaid, and this I guess is the emerald colorway, and I got this in a medium nib. The box is a little pull-out drawer box, very simple. I love simple packaging. Honestly, I keep my pen boxes, so small boxes like this is really honestly appreciated. There's not a lot of fuss, and I'm paying for the pen and not the packaging, which I like. It comes with this little card, which I guess you could use as a bookmark if you really wanted to, but it has care instructions on the other side. Something that is really common with the Hinze Pen Company is their nibs are colored, so they're usually plated with a certain color, and that takes a little bit of extra care to make sure that color doesn't chip off. So what this says basically is, number one, don't use Noodler's or Private Reserve ink, which I think is interesting because those are two inks that I typically steer away from anyways. But apparently the pH of those inks are known to strip the coatings off of certain nibs. It says to use distilled or deionized water to clean the nib, feed, and housing. Pen flush is not recommended. Number three, it is best to leave the nib in its housing when cleaning. Use a bulb syringe to gently flow water through the assembling. Number four, handle with care. Frequent removal of the nib and housing increases chance to have the color chip or peel. And number five, shimmer inks are not recommended due to the cleaning needing to be removing the nib, basically. I think this is really nice to have a little care card sent with the pen. I don't think I've ever seen a company do something this extensive. So this is kind of nice. It has this nice little piece of bubble wrap and then the pen. So the pen sits in this little box here, which has kind of like a little foamy, I guess, casing. The bottom is cardboard, but the side pieces are foam, and the pen just sits right in the middle of that. It's kind of simple and nice, and I like that. So here is the pen itself. Like I said, this is the Mercurial Mermaid in the emerald colorway, I guess. It is pretty smooth. Honestly, the finish on this is really nice. It's very soft and silky feeling. The chatoyance on this is amazing. Just look at that. It's so beautiful. If you've been on my channel for a minute, you will know that green and earthy toned pens are 100% my go-to, and I finally got the chance to try this one out and pick it up, and I'm not disappointed at all. It is beautiful. The finial has a little silver foiled looking stamp in it with this glass dome on top of it, or acrylic dome. It's very pretty, actually. Not what I was expecting at all. I expected it to just have a flat top, which is common with acrylic pens like this, and then the end finial is just flat. Again, acrylic. This is what I expected the top to be. I didn't expect it to have this beautiful finial. The clip is pretty springy, honestly. I was really surprised with that, so you wouldn't have any problems hooking this onto pen loops, t-shirts, pockets, whatever. If we're doing a turn test, we have 1, 2, and like maybe 2 and a little bit more, and then the cap comes off. I would say that the threads are fairly smooth, but being that this is acrylic on acrylic, you are going to feel that kind of feedback, which is common with most acrylic pens. Honestly, I prefer to have metal on metal turns just because I know they're going to last forever. But the acrylic on acrylic isn't bad, and I don't think it's a problem. Like this is totally fine. The nib itself looks like this. It is green that matches the clip, on the cap, which I think is really cool that they match. I love when the finials and nibs and clips and like all of the metals match. It makes me so happy. If it's a duotone nib with a gold or silver, that's fine, but like I love when everything matches. It just makes it look so much more finished, and I really like that. I also like that a little bit of that green is on the pen grip here, so it's not just like the cap hides the green, it's still there when you pull the cap off, so you still have a full color range in the pen body along with the pen nib section here. So on those instructions, what it means when it says you don't want to take the nib out of the housing, it means you can grab the nib and twist this completely out of the housing itself, which, yeah, so this comes out. So this is what it's telling you not to do regularly, because I can imagine it would definitely damage, you know, the nib. You're touching it over and over again, scraping it, whatever, with, if you have a grip or anything, it could definitely do some damage to the nib. However, I think if you have a really stubborn ink that needs lots of cleaning, I don't think you're going to have a problem if you take the nib out, as long as it's not, you know, regularly like those instructions said. If we disassemble the pen the rest of the way, this is where the grip section comes off, and it has a standard international converter, which I think is really nice. There's no brand on this one, but it looks like a Schmidt converter to me, and it's very smooth, very standard, and it just pops right back in. I'm going to go ahead and do some pen comparisons for size purposes. So all the pens capped. Here is it next to a TWSBI Eco. Here is it next to an 𝗪𝗃 Here is it next to a 𝗬𝗵 Safari. Here is it next to a Pilot Metropolitan. And just for funsies, here is it next to a Platinum 3776. So it's fairly size. Like, I feel like it's a pretty standard size, maybe even more towards the large end. I don't find that it's, I don't know, overbearing. Like, it's about the same height as an 𝗪𝗃 right next to it if it's capped. So now let's uncap these. So uncapped, it is about the same size as the 𝗬𝗵 Safari. So if you don't want to post your pen, that is what it would definitely look like in hand. And if we were to post the pens, it is definitely the longest out of the bunch if we were to post it. Here is what it looks like in my hands. I feel like I have pretty standard hands for a person, like a woman. Like, they're not super big or super small, they're just in the middle. So I would most likely write with this unposted, just because I don't really need the back weight. But it does post, and it posts pretty securely, and it would definitely be a little back heavy for me. If you had larger hands and you wanted to post it, I feel like this would be perfectly fine, but it's a little too much for me with the cap on. I am going to go ahead and ink up this pen with Emerald Fusion by Birmingham Pen Company. I feel like this nice sheening green ink will match the chatoyance and green of this pen, but we shall see. So this is the Hinze Pen Company B24 Mercurial Mermaid in medium. In terms of line variation, this is true to a medium Jovo nib in my opinion. It's nice and standard. This one isn't super well flowing like some of the other ones I have, and it could just be that this is the first time I'm using it, and you know, this ink or whatever the property is, but it's still a really nice combination so far. It does have a little bit of flex, like I'm not even gonna call it flex. If you push down hard enough, you'll get a thicker line, but it's not really something I would call flex. It's still pretty stiff. I honestly think this ink pairing is perfect for this pen. The Birmingham Pen Company's Emerald Fusion is definitely a sheening ink, and I think it looks really nice with this pen. I don't know if I would pair this forever, but I'm going to try it out for the rest of this month and see how I feel, but it's really a quite nice combination. So here is the ink itself. I don't know if that sheen's going to come through at all, but it is definitely nice and shiny for me right here. The chatoyance in the pen is beautiful with this ink, and I think it's a really nice pairing, like I was saying. I like this pen. It's nice and smooth, there's not a lot of feedback, and it's overall pretty nice. All that being said, I am happy to have this new pen in my collection. I'm happy to have another green pen always. And this is a new to me brand that I'm actually quite happy with. I'm not disappointed. I do think it's pretty average in terms of writing. It's not something that's wowing me right now, but this is a pretty pen and, you know, I can't complain. It's definitely a fun one for sure to look at, along with all of the swirls and chatoyance and beauty in this resin. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today and checking out this brand new pen to me. I'm definitely excited to get to play with this some more. And thank you again to all who used my Atlas code so I was able to pick this up and try it out. All that being said, again, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.